We gather in creator energy. We step to the beat of the heart. We are moved by the spirit of the people. We are compelled by our inherent life force, gifted by Prime Creator. We march forward together as a body, in peace and harmony, for we are tied to one another in the heart and are the awakening tide of compassion and awareness, a force that cannot and will not be denied. And so it is.
Thank you, Charlie. Hello, my name's Ron Vroom, and I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. Also, the Second Amendment well-regulated militia on Oregon, and the Beaverton Oversight Committee. Right now, this is a recruitment video for the Second Amendment well-regulated militia, specifically a platoon to operate a 5-ton dump truck, totally equipped to put 15 warriors on the road. That's my job. I do not have the job of organization, recruitment, or other functions. Definitely not that of a warrior. But that's the task I have. The truck is secured and a ton of equipment to go with it. That's secured. The 15 warriors, I think I can scrape up 3 to 5. That means I specifically have to come up with another 10. Say 2 squads. What is it? 7-man, 9-man in a squad, 2 of them. Yeah, that's the maximum that we can put on the road. That's what I'm tasked with. The rest of it is tasked to somebody else. And that means there has to be a major. And there's got to be 2 captains. And there has to be at least 9 squad leaders. Got to have that level of command to go with building the unit. And all I'm tasked with is just this tiny little piece. I'm also tasked with contacting like-minded men and women on Oregon. Right now, I'm only recruiting for the Second Amendment well-regulated militia. Counties like Sherman County with 2,000 people would probably have a better shot at putting together what I am putting together on Washington County. And look at the difference in population. But among those 2,000 people out in Sherman, I'm sure they know who and where they could go to put together a well-regulated militia. I'd like to talk to that person out in Sherman County that would like to do it. That only leaves me with 34 more counties on Oregon to talk to the person that's charged with the same task I am on their county. And that's put together 2 squads on the road with the proper vehicle, completely geared up and ready to go, able to get to the location point and start duty right now. That's what my task is. And I'm also wanting to talk to the guys like me on the rest of the counties. I'm totally available. I have the rank of nothing, but I have the task of doing this. Is that a conundrum? No, probably not. It's not a paradox. We have enough of those on Oregon. So, who do you talk to when you see this that would be someone to move this forward? You see the task has to be done. We're on 3 cable TV channels. We're putting forth the effort to communicate with the community for our civilian court of record, to increase the membership of the jury pool of de jure men and women. We're still doing all of that. We're still pushing forward with the sheriffs to obtain their proper oath to the proper constitutions, with God included, on Oregon in their county, doing what is required of them to do. We're still pushing forward on all of that. We've served the papers in Marion County. Thank you, Brandon. We've served the papers in Washington County. That was think some good thoughts for Ray. Recovering at OHSU. He was with us when we served the papers in Washington County and Yamhill County. Thank you, Charlie, Michelle, Bobby, Brandon. Moving forward, we have 3 counties with that work done. The work of putting a court on the road, that's 4 people, and having them serve the sheriff on each county with the notice that he must do as required constitutionally, not to the de facto, but to the de jure, was concluded, or they must be removed from office. You see what that chick Mickey's doing? Hoo-hoo! Down in Arizona, Michelle, I'm sorry. But what a blessed girl. We're delighted. And you guys get me, the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly. And I yield.
Ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. 4 Wall 2, 1866, was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court that ruled the application of military tribunals to citizens when civilian courts are still operating as unconstitutional. In this particular case, the court was unwilling to give President Abraham Lincoln's administration the power of military commission jurisdiction, part of the administration's controversial plan to deal with Union dissenters during the American Civil War. Justice David Davis, who delivered the majority opinion, stated that martial rule can never exist when the courts are open, and confined martial law to areas of military operations where war really prevails, and when it was a necessity to provide a substitute for a civil authority that had been overthrown. Chief Justice Salmon P. Chase and 3 associate justices filed a separate opinion concurring with the majority in the judgment, but asserted that Congress had the power to authorize a military commission, although it had not done so in Milligan's case. The landmark case stemmed from a trial by a military commission of Lambden P. Milligan, for whom the case is named, Stephen Horsey, William A. Bowles, and Andrew Humphreys, that convened at Indianapolis on October 21, 1864. The charges against the men included, among others, conspiracy against the U.S. government, offering aid and comfort to the Confederates, and inciting rebellion. On December 10, 1864, Milligan, Bowles, and Horsey were found guilty on all charges and sentenced to hang. Humphreys was found guilty and sentenced to hard labor for the remainder of the war. The sentence for Humphreys was later modified, allowing his release. President Andrew Johnson commuted the sentences for Milligan, Bowles, and Horsey to life imprisonment. On May 10, 1865, Milligan's legal counsel filed a petition in the Circuit Court of the United States for the District of Indiana at Indianapolis for a writ of habeas corpus, which called for a justification of Milligan's arrest. A similar petition was filed on behalf of Bowles and Horsey. The 2 judges who reviewed Milligan's petition disagreed about the issue of whether the U.S. Constitution prohibited civilians from being tried by a military commission and passed the case to the U.S. Supreme Court. The case was argued before the court on March 5th and March 13th, 1866. Its decision was handed down on April 3rd, 1866. Prepared by Francis Lieber, promulgated as General Orders No. 100 by President Lincoln, 24th of April, 1863. Instructions for the Government of Armies of the United States in the Field, prepared by Francis Lieber, LL.D., originally issued as General Orders No. 100, Adjutant General's Office, 1863, Washington, 1898, Government Printing Office. Article 1, Section 1 of Oregon's Constitution, Natural Rights Inherent in People. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. This is taken from oregonlaws.org.
When referring to the First and Second Amendments of the United States of America's Constitution, free speech and the right to bear arms has somehow gotten twisted in the minds of the general public to be considered extreme conservatism. That very perception is the result of the intensive programming wrought on the people by those who choose politics over the United States of America's Constitution. Since when is upholding the United States of America's Constitution have been increasingly trampled? Oh, and its Bill of Rights associated with extreme conservatives. These first two amendments to the Constitution have been increasingly trampled, increment by increment. A little bit here, a little more there. So here we are, decades and generations later, oblivious to the overreach and downright ignorance of this sacred document that has kept this nation as intact as it has prevailed, despite constant onslaughts. Conspirators, all persons employed by or associated with police, sheriffs, marshals, and others of that ilk on Oregon, operating in the de facto incorporated governance of Article 7 amended, either self-correct to the de jure Article 7 original, or be tried in our de jure civilian court of record with a true bill from our grand jury. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Returning to a de jure government after more than 100 years of deceit due to Article 7 amended is difficult, and we put forward our best effort. Article 1, Section 1, Natural Rights Inherent in People. We declare that all men, when they form a social compact, are equal in right, that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority, and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness, and they have at all times a right to alter, reform, or abolish the government in such manner as they may think proper. That's from the Oregon Constitution.
Creator of all that is, it is in gratitude that we stand. It is in our standing that we feel your hand. Our size is small, for we are one, but we are large, for we are not alone. Our heartbeats prove tirelessly of your love, and so it is.
Thank you, Charlie. Hello, my name's Ron Vroman. I'm the old white man talking head for the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly and the Second Amendment well-regulated militia. And this is a recruitment video for the militia. I look at this recruitment video from the point of a recruiter, which I used to be years ago in Portland. And we recruited nationwide in construction and engineering. We recruited men and women across the nation and businesses across the nation. I started work at 5 o'clock in the morning in Portland and followed the sun across and finished at 5 o'clock in the evening in Portland. So all I have to do now is just Washington County. So this is much simpler. I'm looking for the equivalent of a superintendent for a mid-rise construction under difficult conditions. That's what I'm looking for. That man will know how to do what needs to be done to run a construction business with a goal. And we have a similar situation now. If you look at it from the point of view of construction. And those are the slots we have to fill. if we were looking at it in the point of view of the Seabees, United States Navy Construction Battalion, where in the hell they were? Down by Ventura. I can't recall right now the name of the naval base. The construction battalion for the Pacific. In any case, that would probably be a lieutenant commander in the Navy. About that. And in the Corps of Engineers, about a major. Now, if you're a captain or a lieutenant or a sergeant in that sort of structure, we need your service also, because that's what we're building. A patriot to the constitutional the United States of America and Oregon circa 1859, before the fraud started. The de jure. The original jurisdiction, Oregon, for men and women. That jurisdiction is the jurisdiction we're discussing. This is not commerce. It's not trade. It's close to trade. But it's a well-regulated militia. And I'm recruiting now for field grade officer for Washington County. One that could field a proper militia on Washington County, and those that would work with him and for him. That's all that this video is for. It's not for looking for the troops. If you think you're one of the troops, then find out who your sergeant, lieutenant, and captain and so forth is. Your first class chief in a construction battalion. Look for that person, because it's not time for you yet. We haven't got the structure in place to accept large groups of men. Just don't have it yet. But we do have the space and the time and the energy for field grade. Think construction battalion. Warriors. Warriors with a goal that is not to fight. Meek men, meaning their weapons are still sheathed. They have not had to unsheath their weapon. But you got them. Those kind of guys. When I was in the Navy, the officers had to have a sword. They couldn't they couldn't attend a full inspection without a sword. Part of the sea bag if you're an officer. We in the enlisted ranks didn't have to do that, and I'm not looking for enlisted now. Sergeant majors and squadron chiefs, yeah. E8, E9, absolutely. And E9 is equal to a lieutenant commander in my book anytime. So that's who I'm looking for in this video. And it's still the same outfit, the Oregon Statewide Jural Assembly, the Provisional Government on Oregon, Article 1, Section 1, signed, sealed, stamped, witnessed, proof of service, and published at www.orsja.org. And I yield.
They do not want to let go of this. They do not intend on losing here. And we do not intend giving it back to them.
And then the bullets started flying. And then he jumps out of the car. And he's got both his hands up.
And he got out of the car, and he had his hands in the air. He's like, just shoot me then. This is what you want, just shoot me. And they did. They shot him dead. With his hands in the air, and I saw it. I swear to God. He was just walking with his hands in the air. And they shot him. And they shot him dead, and then after he was down on the ground, they shot him 3 more times.